Taking the first stop on the program High Five today, where we have our guest, a gender activist in the studios of Media Free Radio 89.6 in Boya. We want to talk about issues relating to women as usual, since we've been having it on the program since the month of April this year. Queen of Fund, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, you are a gender officer at CHADA. I want us to talk about the ongoing awareness campaign on discrimination against women, advocacy against laws which promote discrimination.
Exactly.
All right, as a gender officer at CHADA, how crucial is it for discrimination against women to be addressed?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity once again, Ms. Frida Leinabuma. I'm here in the capacity of the gender officer at the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa to raise awareness about discriminations against women and girls. Recently, in June 2020, a draft code was brought to our attention that is considering adopting Section 919, which states that interstate succession shall devolve by application of the law to the parents and to the surviving spouse in the following order: descendants, forebears, collaterals, surviving spouse, and the state.
Okay.
As a human rights organization, as a women's rights organization, as an organization promoting gender equality, I have come in the capacity of the gender officer of the center to raise awareness about this draft code, because it is a clear indication that it's going to promote discrimination against women.
All right, you're talking about it. The draft code is clear indication that it will promote discrimination against women.
Exactly.
And with this is what women have been fighting for over the years.
Exactly.
All right, so a few days ago, a draft code on person and the family raised a lot of concerns. I'll ask you, what is the code all about?
The code I just read to you, this code, it comes from the draft code on the person and the family. And it states, I just read to you in section 919, that interstate succession shall devolve by application of the law to the parents and to the surviving spouse in the following order: descendants, forebears, collaterals, surviving spouse, and the state. Now, what is the implication
exactly
of
this code?
Yeah, that is where we come in. That's where I come in as a women's rights activist. If you look at this draft, it implies that if this draft is finally adopted, it means that if a woman gets married to her husband, okay, whether or not they sign joint property, the woman is going to fall at the fourth position during the in
a situation where they need to
share the property, right? In the case where the husband had died without leaving a will, okay, so it brings the woman now to the fourth position. It first of all takes into consideration the descendants, it takes into consideration forebears, collaterals, then the spouse. The reason why we as women, we are very concerned about this is because of the statistics that we have about, first of all, I mean, this is just one of the so many reasons. First of all, statistics prove that men get married to women when they are older than the women, and they eventually die before the women. Secondly, it has been proven that in our context, in Cameroon, we have a myriad of ethnic groups with different customary laws and all of that. Now, will writing is something that is male dominant in Cameroon. It is hard for a woman to die, and then they start asking the man, where is the will of the woman? Where is the will of the woman? So that we see how we can share the property. Mind you that this man and the woman, as husband and wife, had probably most likely signed a polygamy or a monogamy with joint property. Most of the times that's the case. Now, in the case where the spouse is deceased, the consideration, the next thing for the man is, where is the will? For the woman, the man automatically inherits everything. So we are saying that that is not gender equality. That is definitely against the rights of the women. And this is even more serious because Cameroon has ratified so many international treaties, conventions, protocols, you name them, to address the issue of discrimination. And so we, as a women's rights organization, it has been brought to our knowledge that this is a draft that has been tabled before the parliament, and if this is not interrupted and this is passed, it means that Cameroon will be very non-compliant to international instruments like CEDAW, like the International Covenant on the Economic, Social and Cultural Rights concerning women. Take, for example, the Maputo Protocol, which defines it's a Bill of Rights for African women, okay? Take, for example, such a protocol which outlines that women have political equality as men. Then you come to a state like this where they are making a bill like this, and the woman is positioned at the fore. So these are things that we are, you know, it's like it has kind of provoked us, I should say.
Provoked, yeah.
Yes.
Alright, so as a gender activist, and thank God you say it is a draft at the moment.
Yes.
What should be done at this time?
There's a lot of intervention that has to be done at the level of raising awareness. First of all, it is so saddening that a draft like this would be made concerning women, and women don't know about it. There is no transparency. You understand? There's no transparency. I mean, this came to us through social media, and when we talk about
and it's verified and confirmed that it is a draft.
Exactly. When we talk about it with other women, they have no idea about it. They are so shocked. I mean, there's no transparency. How did they come up with this draft? Did they include the women? Do you think that if you make such a proposal to women, that is something, is a bill that you want to pass, you think that women will approve it? It is clearly a proposal that definitely is going to discriminate against women. And you know that discrimination is clearly directly connected to violence against women, which is something that we have been fighting as a human rights organization, as a women's rights organization. We have been fighting violence against women every year. From the 25th of November to the 10th of December, we carry out 16 days activism to fight violence against women and girls. Okay, just to add to that, what are we doing? We are raising awareness. Like what we're doing right now, we're raising awareness about this draft, and we are asking that women's rights organizations and women, grassroots women in the private sector, we should all come together. We should come together and disapprove of this draft. We should together make a statement against the consideration of such a draft. And we are also calling on the international organizations. We are calling on CEDAW. We are calling on the African Union. We are calling on UN Women. We are calling them to hold Cameroon accountable, to hold Cameroon responsible, to bring it to the attention of Cameroonian lawmakers, that such a bill will prove clearly that they are non-compliant to recommendations such as that done by the Committee on the Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of Women, which recommended that Cameroon should address its legal issues concerning women, concerning discrimination against women, and concerning violence against women, which was done in 2012. But until now, the progress is so slow. We are yet to see the reforms.
Alright, thank you very much, Queen Tofon. She is a gender activist with Chada, and today on the program High Five as guest, she is raising awareness on discrimination against women, advocacy against laws which promote discrimination. And you say this is just the first day of the discussion. Shall we continue tomorrow?
Exactly.
Have a lovely day, Queen Tofon.
Thank you very much.